thank you for tuning in to Jakarta Globe News Channel. I'm Florence Armein, and joining me on The Perspective today is a man who, outside of his diplomatic life, loves to read, enjoys the movies and theatre, a fan of Liverpool FC, follows the world of cricket and loves South Asian cuisine. Please join me in welcoming the British Ambassador for Indonesia, His Excellency Ambassador Moazzam Malik. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Finally, we've locked in some time to chat here about a lot of things that is happening around us. And this, I understand, this is your second Ramadan in Indonesia. How's that going so far?
Well, first of all, thanks very much for having me on the show, and very good evening to your viewers.
Thank you.
It's my second Ramadan here. I started in Indonesia in October 2014. We were just chatting earlier. I was telling you about my first day in the office, where
it's when Jokowi was inaugurated.
It's the day of the inauguration, and it was a great day to start, actually, because it meant that I got to see the excitement
firsthand.
You know, maybe for the first time in Indonesia's history, people coming out on the streets to celebrate a political event, not to protest.
Correct.
And so, as a first day in the office, it was a great way to start, to feel that sense of expectation and excitement.
The ambience you're feeling from Indonesians, how they feel about, hey, we elect this man right here in front of us.
Right. So there was a great move of optimism, and for a new ambassador coming in with very clear instructions to
it feels that you're very much welcome there.
Yeah, you know, so my first day in the office, you know, a lovely way to start, a clean way to start, and my time here mapping that of the president. And as you were saying, this is my second Ramadan here. Last year I was here in Jakarta. It was a lot of fun, actually. It was my first time to spend the whole of Ramadan in a Muslim country. So it was kind of fun to be part of that, part of the culture and the religious excitement. And
how different is it from Jakarta and
London?
Back home? Yes.
It's, you know, in some ways it's similar, in some ways it's very different. The similarity is that if you're seorang Muslim, if you're a Muslim, whether in Jakarta or in London or in Lahore or Baghdad or wherever, actually the fundamentals are the same. This is a period for reflection, for being with your family, for eating dates, you know, for trying to be good, you know, no gossip, trying to be a nice person.
Doing things that you don't normally do on any other day.
So in that sense, it's same the world over, right?
Yeah.
But of course there are differences. It's different being in a majority Muslim country where it's a big part of the cultural, social and political life. Whereas in the UK, of course, whilst we've got 5% of the population as Muslims, nevertheless we're a minority, and we've got very strong religious freedoms. There's no obstacles to worshipping or, you know, performing your Ramadan observance as fully or as lightly as you would like. But nevertheless, to be in a country where everybody is part of the game is kind of different.
So you've experienced going on the streets here in Jakarta, trying to look at how vibrant the evenings of just before breakfast, tajils. And
just before, and actually also during, you know, later in the evening. So of course, at the time of breaking fast, people are rushing to get home, and when they get stuck, they're just stopping on the streets and having to break fast on the side or going to the local masjid. People, it's a communal activity, not just a family activity, but people are coming together. And similarly, you know, the numbers of people who are out at the masjid for Tarawih, including, you know, the numbers of women, people praying in the street because they can't get into the mosque. I mean, it's kind of interesting. There's a big communal sense of this being a very special time.
Now, Ambassador, you start exactly the same day as Jokowi did. Now, both of you have a lot in common in a lot of sense. And how do you feel he has progressed so far?
You know, we started on the same day. This is his first presidency. This is my first ambassadorship.
Correct.
When I reflect on my own time here, you know, I'm a year and a half in. I'm still learning about being an ambassador, trying to work out how to be effective.
Just as he's learning about being a president.
And maybe this is the human process that we all go through, right? So when I look back at the president's first year and a half, I think actually there have been some really notable achievements, some real successes. But actually, I think, you know, the administration is still learning and still getting into its stride. I don't think it's hit full pace yet. I think the president feels similarly, actually. You know, when we look back at the reshuffle last August, very early on, that was a signal of wanting to change the team, put in place a stronger team, a sense of some things weren't working. He wanted his own people in some places. When we look at these economic packages, forget about what's in them, but that rhythm of saying, I want a package of reform measures every month, month in, month out. Those are things that the president is learning to do to make the system perform, because when you're governing a country that's this big, this complicated, this decentralized, it's not easy. And you need to find out where all the levers are. You need to maybe invent some new levers. You need to work out, when you pull them, which ones work and which ones don't, and which other ones to try.
Maybe in a nutshell, it takes time for him to map things out and what in order.
So when I spend a lot of time talking to business people, actually of all nationalities, Indonesians, Brits, other internationals here in Indonesia, and of course back in the UK. And my prediction to them is always the same. I believe year 2 will be better than year 1, year 3 will be better than year 2, and year 4 will depend on the politics.
Yeah.
And I think year 2 is panning out better than year 1, and I'm confident that actually we'll continue on that trajectory. I think the government's doing.
Isn't it?
I think as the government builds its own experience and the bureaucracy aligns itself steadily and surely with the government's priorities, and people get more experience, and the country is dragged into the president's agenda. Yeah, it's the way it'll go. But there's still a long way to go. There are many, many challenges. This is a country that has enormous potential, but to unlock that potential is, we've got a lot to do.
Right, we'll talk more about that when we come back after this short break.